This is episode 286 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by my new little one, Elara Catherine Morales. If you didn't know Mrs. GSP was pregnant, she was. And now I have a baby. Another one, number 2. I'm also joined by Marcel Manzano.
Baby.
Will get that baby a GSP helmet, Haywood.
How's it going, everyone?
And Ryan, it's getting cold. Sanazuski.
Yeah, and I still have leaf piles outside I need to take care of, but now it's cold and it's not fun.
This is a fact. I am in the same boat. I don't plan on taking care of leaf piles. I'll deal with them in the spring and be mad at my current self when it's just a bunch of pile of wet leaves.
Well, that and it kills any grass underneath it too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, our podcast today is brought to you by our GSP patrons. They're the ones that make it happen. Thank you to everybody who has become a patron. Remember, we are shipping prizes twice a year, 4 different sets. Our upcoming set, we have the Heroic Squadron, and also our end-of-year Christmas card. I have decided to do a bit of an audible on the pilots, as they did get the original pilots did get wrecked. But the art's still going to be the same. But we'll have some fun with that when it comes around. What are we talking about today? Well, today we are talking about the last chance qualifier that was officially announced. Listen, guys, I said before anybody else, was like, is there a last chance qualifier happening? I was like, guys, it's happening. It's happening. And then I got an unofficial word. Guys, it's happening for sure. And then there were still people like, oh my God, it's actually happening. I was like, why do they doubt me? Hello. Stop doubting me. I'm telling you, it's a bad choice. So that's official. If you didn't see the post from AMG, it was on their Twitter. Now, what has not been revealed is the what's it gonna look like, and that is also a question for myself. I don't even know what it's gonna look like yet. Here was the post.
Doesn't it look like X-Wing?
I mean, it sure does look like X-Wing, but the question is, like, the format, all of that. So maybe what we can do is maybe for any newer players is give them an insight into what it looked like previously.
What?
The last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
So in the 2019 Worlds, the first day of the events was the main tournament that day was a tournament that was essentially an open. Anybody could join in, and if they made, I think it was X and 1 or top 16, something like that.
You're talking about the last chance qualifier from the last Worlds?
Yeah, from 2019.
It was filling in the empty slot. So there was like 220 spots, and they had 110. Then the top 110 would.
Oh, okay.
So it was
the top amount.
It was the top X to meet the max limit, or the limit of.
Which was like 250 or something for the main tournament, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, everybody who got into the top qualifying spot got to play then in the actual Worlds tournament the following day.
Yeah, so that's I'm assuming it's going to work something similar to that. I mean, as someone who's ran Adepticon before, they basically said you have X number of chairs for this event at its maximum, and I'm assuming they want to max it out. So I got to take a look at how many invites they have, how many invites show up is going to be part of it, right? I don't know what their process is for that. And after that, just fill in the seats, and of course, hopefully have something for those people who don't make it through the last chance qualifier to do. Have some side events. I know I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get pods running again, and if not pods, then maybe some other kind of side event tournaments that can hopefully get you guys some world's loot as well. That's what I've been championing myself. As for the schedule, that is a question that I cannot answer because I don't know. Previously, the Adepticon event was Saturday, Sunday, right? We did Saturday, Sunday. So a very obvious progression from that would be Friday, last chance qualifier. Saturday is the actual event, and Sunday is the top cut. But it's all going to be dependent on schedules and how these three world qualifiers overlap. Because here's one of the questions I have, and I would love to hear your guys' input on this, is because these are world's levels events, like that hall that we were in at Adepticon, it was about half Star Wars, and the other half was all kinds of other things, right? Not just AMG products. There was like a Batman game going on. There's some 40K, all that. I mean, if you're AMG, you're Asmodee, are you trying to take a bigger chunk of Adepticon to cover your games? Do you think they're going to try to get more space? What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, they've got other halls. That's not the only hall that's available. That's the hall that we've always been in. But there are other halls. There's other floors. So the Schaumburg Convention Center. It's a pretty large venue. We just typically Adepticon typically only fills that amount of space because that's the size, that of the tickets that they sell. But there is. I mean, I wouldn't call them overflow. But there are other convention or other rooms and other halls. If you think back to, for example, Nova, where Nova is in a hotel, and they take like the conference rooms and the meeting rooms, and they convert those conference or meeting rooms into, okay, this game takes, 50 people, and there's 25 tables in this room, so this is going to be assigned for that game, etc. So they have those conference rooms available and that overflow available, and because the convention center is held at a hotel also, so that's an option. And then another thing is officially the convention goes Wednesday through Sunday, so it doesn't have to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It could be a Thursday qualifier, then Friday Heat 1, Saturday Heat 2, so there's options. And if space is an issue, even though I hope they don't do it because it would mess people's plans up, you can always do a Wednesday last chance qualifier, which last Worlds, the last chance qualifier was on a Wednesday.
It was. You're right.
Yeah, it was on a Wednesday, and then there was a Thursday and Friday and Saturday. There was like 3 heats or something like that, wasn't it? But I do remember that it was a Wednesday. Yeah, there was 3 heats. So it was a Wednesday qualifier, and then 3 Swiss heats, and then the finals on Sunday. No, actually, it was Heat 1 on Thursday, Heat 2 on.
I think the cut was on Saturday.
Friday, and then the cut was on Saturday because Saturday night is when everybody went out to celebrate Ollie's win. So, yeah, it was a Wednesday last chance qualifier. So there's a lot of options, and I assume on Wednesday and Thursday there's probably a lot more space available to hold
always
a full, as many people as show up and as many people as sign up, to fill up all the tables for even 400 or 500 people if that's how many people show up.
And that's what we got to wait out for. I think if we go to the Adepticon website, let me take a look here. One-handed typing. Excuse the speed here. Do they have So registration opens for Adepticon January 8th. So obviously that's still a couple months away. And I know by that time, their goal is to have all of the events set. You should be able to not only add the convention pass to your cart, but also the actual like events from there. And normally what they end up doing is they will do a preview of all of the events about a month before so that you have it down. Now, it's still subject to change. And I know that, most big businesses are like this, but Asmodee is slow. They're slow. I'm not afraid to say that. They're very slow in their decision making. So hopefully they get it all ironed out in time so that we can find out what the last chance qualifier is. I do gotta say, I gotta love that the Adepticon background is X-Wing. I'm not sure if you guys have ever noticed that. But yeah, so last chance qualifier. It is official now, just in case you didn't trust the word of Dion, which you should always do. There you go. We also heard of an Australian qualifier happening, and I think Ryan Staniszewski's favorite pilot was in the winning list. This is complete sarcasm. Congratulations to Octacon out of Australia for winning that one, earning that travel accommodation to come to the World Championship. Ryan, go ahead and break down that top list.
So Octacon brought a Scum list, very similar to Canberry's before Canberry adopted Rook Cast instead of Koshka Frost, which will start there, a little bit out of order. But Koshka Frost with Notorious, Jamming Beam, 000, False Transponder Codes, Marauder, Veteran Tailgunner. Boba with Composure, Jamming Beam, Electro Chaff Missiles, so even though they went up, still brought them. Slave 1, Ahsoka Tano, and Veteran Tailgunner. And then we have the ever-so-hated Kanan Jarrus Hawk with Maul group. So once again, another strong, complete victory by this archetype. This Boba, Kanan, and pick 7-point thing, whether it is another Fire Spray or a Rook Cast.
All right, and then Meng T Tang took second place. I know on our Discord he goes by TMT. Go ahead and break that one down, Marcel.
So you flew Jango Fett, Separatist, with Notorious, Jamming Beam, Count Dooku, Proton Bombs, False Transponder Codes. I don't know if there's anything else after the False Transponder Codes. Screen is cut off.
Delayed Fuses and Slave 1.
Gotcha. And then General Grievous with Outmaneuver, Impervium Plating, Soulless 1. Cad Bane with Marksmanship, Synced Laser Cannons, Electroshaft Missiles, and the title. And then DFS 081 with Energy Shell Charges and Independent Calculations plus the Grappling Struts. 4-ship list. So that's pretty interesting. That's 3 and a 4-ship final. That was the final, right?
Yep. Okay. That was the final. Let's go ahead and take a look at the up to the top 4 here. In third place, we had Travis Foss bringing a Rebel list. Go ahead, Will.
All right, he has brought Boudica Venge in the Fang Fighter with Composure and Mandalorian Optics. That's the one that gets you a lock in the system phase. Luke Skywalker with an Instinctive Aim. This is Boy Skywalker because he's got attack speed, proton torpedoes, and R2D2. We got Boy. It's Battle of Yavin. Wedge, not to be confused with Baby Wedge, which is the A-Wing version. But Yavin Wedge has proton torps, a shield healing R2 astromech and marksmanship, then Fenrau Sheathipede with swarm tactics, chopper, and R4 astromech. So this is a take on Rebel Alpha, where you can get everybody shooting at 5 or 6. Plus, if you shoot at the X-Wings, Boudica gets a revenge shot on you, so you can shoot up to 5 times in the opening attacks.
Gotta love it. And then Can you remind me what Mandalorian Optics does? It's a card I haven't seen in play too much.
It's the modification that in the system phase you can lock something that's in your front arc.
Or you just get it. You're like, oh look, you're there.
Yeah,
Here's
you
a
just
target
get it.
lock.
Yeah, so you'd have to be in range 3 because it has to be lockable. But yeah, and it has to be in your front arc.
Okay, cool. Then Nathan Skelly took 4th place with a Imperial list. We had Darth Vader. Looking at the loadout here, is this Battle of Yavin, Darth Vader?
No.
This is the regular one?
Yep,
Yes.
customizable.
Yes, customized in the X1. Brilliant Evasion, Elusive, Pattern Analyzer, Fire Control System, and Afterburners. We had Captain Farroff in the Reaper with 7 Sister, Rexler Brath in that TIE Defender with Juke, Fire Control System, and Heavy Laser Cannon, and rounded out that, I need a couple more points, said Academy Pilot, Initiative 1. Let's go ahead and be a blocker. Look at that. Blockers coming back, boys. Always been good. All right. So those were the results for the top 4 of the Sydney Open. It's pretty awesome to see, that a lot of the things that we saw in the Galactic Championships still viable. And, obviously it was a little bit of a smaller event, but you're getting some peaks for Rebels. Maybe did this Battle of Yavin maybe make an impact in the long run for the Rebels? Question mark.
I think Wedge is a good value. Garvin and Jack are good values. I'm not sure about the Y-Wings, Ryan. Do you think any of the Y-Wings have lasting potential?
I don't. I think how the meta's going to shake out, and when we get to some of these spoilers, we're seeing more conditional 3-die attacks coming from cheap, higher initiative pilots from TIE fighters is a really good example. Mauler, Backstabber. I mean, anything that's 1 agility right now might be hurt pretty bad if it's not I-5 or higher. Because even if it's at I-4, it might struggle to not get initiative killed in a couple rounds, whether it's the first target or later on in the game. I think Pops is the one that at least has my attention a little bit, just because he's got free passive rerolls. But for the other ones, Dutch just has a really weird timing. And I would just probably take Kraken's just a better version of that Dutch anyway. So we already know how much Kraken has enabled some of these Rebel lists.
All right, well, let's go ahead, and speaking of new cards making an impact, we have another slew of cards to get to. AMG gave us some, but also some mysterious spoilers ended up throughout the Reddits and the Facebooks and all the things, and Discord as well, so we're going to look at them. We're not going to pretend like they don't exist. They're cards. We're going to read them. We're going to talk about them a little bit and see what's got us excited. By the way, shout out to Jason Grimwolf for posting these on our Discord. He's been on it. Always an amazing moderator. And I did want to take an opportunity to officially show off this page on the website. If you go to the About Us page right here, and you go to the right here, officially Gold 10 moderator and assistant Jason Grimwolf. Congratulations. Has been a very active contributor, part of the community. I think it was time to officially dub him.
Wait, did the young baby get gold 9 in that list?
I'm holding 9 for a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason.
Okay.
You'll
All
see.
right.
All righty. So, Also, gold 10 is just cool. I don't know. I like it. Anyway, let's go ahead. I know some of these cards that we've seen. We'll kind of go quickly through the ones that we've seen already. But let's go ahead and start with Scum and Villainy. This was Tor Fun. This is one that we did get to see already. We've talked a little bit about it. But this is the one I want to talk about. Ryan, read me this story that is that is on this card. Explain to me what it do.
All right, we have Dirge in the Scum Rogue class fighter. I5. If I recall correctly, Dirge is now going to be the highest initiative rogue in both factions, Separatist and Scum. Same stat line in terms of the ship chassis itself and the action bar, focus, and not calc. Not that I was expecting it, but now let people know who Dirge is. You got to go back to the original 2003 2D animated Clone Wars series before Episode 3 came out to see the first debut of Dirge. But while you defend after the neutralize results step, if there are more hit or crit results than your active shields, you may change one hit to a crit result and then cancel one hit. So you are essentially trading, you're picking out of the pool of results, the results going through which you have not evaded or canceled out need to be more than the amount of shields you have left to have this even trigger. Right? Start there. If you have no shields, easy peasy, right? So the idea is you're essentially trading what potentially could be, I'd say, let's say you get 2 hits, 2 regular hits. You could, with this Dirge ability, if there's less than 2 shields on your Dirge at the point of receiving 2 hits, you take one of those hits, you turn to a crit. Then you take the other hit, get rid of it. So you're trading 2 damage for 1 crit. So Dirge might take a lot of crits, could be dangerous, but it's gonna take a lot longer to get through him as you start doing only 1 crit, 1 crit, 1 crit.
Yeah.
Fuel leak, it's gonna feel pretty bad. For how much more you want to use Dirge at that point.
Right.
And there are some crits that are more game breaking than 2 damage for certain ships.
People don't remember. Fuel leak is a repair with an action crit.
Oh yeah, you can fix it.
Is there any? The only thing I can think of is enduring. Is there any other benefits for taking crits? Enduring says if you take a crit, you can take a red focus action.
I don't believe so.
Just looking cool.
But if you've got crew, there's isn't there a Scum crew that allows you to repair?
Like Peli.
Peli Moto.
Queel.
Wheel.
Okay.
I would say Peli.
I don't think you can get crew though, because that's only Xanadu blood.
Which is just for Cad Bane. So this Dirge might not even be allowed to take the title version of the ship anyway, which doesn't feel great, mind you. Not having access to bombs, not having access to crew. It's just going to be a base rogue, which we haven't seen any of them do well. It's just been Cad Bane's ship, really. But maybe Dirge can do something more. We'll see.
Maybe, depending on what slots he ends up getting. If he ends up being a cheap I5 that kind of has a, not blank ability, but an ability that it's like, hey, you can do it, but it's not going to be game breaking. But if it comes in cheap enough, that I5 starts to get more and more attractive.
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't see this being more than 5 points. I think 5 is the top end of it. Because I think Cad Bane, although I4, is probably still better than this Dirge, depending on the loadout Dirge gets.
So, just to make sure I'm reading it correctly, even if with no shields, it'll only trigger when there's, after the neutralized result step, there's 2
2
more
hits.
left.
2 hits, yeah.
And then
Well, it's only going to matter if it's 2 or more, because in theory you're taking one. Because if it's just 1 hit that goes through, you're not going to turn that one to a crit.
well, because it's yeah, you're right. Because you turn a hit to a crit, then but if you have enduring, you can cancel crits first, so you can cancel the crit.
Right, it's another advantage of enduring
is
that
after neutralize result step.
Right.
Oh yeah, so
that is another advantage of enduring is that you're left with hits more likely, because what you don't want to see is hit crit, because now you can't change. If you change it to crit, you can't let a hit through.
Yeah,
because there's no more hits anymore.
Let's say you rolled no evades and they rolled hit crit against you. Or no, you rolled 1 evade and they rolled hit crit against you. If you have enduring and you're not in their bullseye, your evade will cancel the crit, which could open it up further to say, I'm more willing to change one of those 2 hits to a crit and then just cancel the 1 hit. Now I'm only taking 1 crit instead of 2 hits.
All right, let's go on to our next card. So we had Lappin in the modified TIE LN fighter. This is Scum TIE fighter. Stickler for details. While you defend or perform an attack, if the enemy is stressed, that ship's dice cannot be modified. So against any ships that are stressed, after doing K-turns, sloops, which, I mean, stress is happening all the time in X-Wing. All the time. This might end up having some utilization. Of course, it is only against Lappin, but if it's maybe is this too good for 2 points, or is it just I don't know.
This might be like a C4 bumped up to a 4-point ship.
Really?
Because
I think it'll still end up.
If it's got like the loadout like C4 does.
It depends on the loadout. That's a big deal.
Right.
But there are definitely a lot worse modified TIE LNs that could be 2 points before this one is. That's a real ability. Overseer Yushin's ability is not a real ability. Or Form and Approach. I know one of them might be a little more real, but the other one isn't.
All right. I know that one's not as exciting and or confusing. Pretty straightforward. We got Dr. Afra in the YV666. Take it, Marcel.
All right. So it's it's got 3 charges. Before you engage, you may spend 1 charge, and you may spend 1 green token and a charge. If you do, you may choose another ship range 0 to 1 that is not stressed. The chosen ship gains a stress token. The 3 charges are not recurring, so it's 3 charge unless you have that one that recharges one every time somebody else dies. Cutthroat, there you go. But it's not a naturally recurring charge. And initiative 3, unless it's cheap, I don't see why you bring it above any of the other lats out there, either unless it's cheap or they give it some crazy loadout value.
So let's define it. What's cheap for a YV666?
6. So
because they only exist at 6 and 7 right now. Right?
Yeah, because the lats is at 6. That's Razi. So if it's comparable, I see it comparable to Lats Razi. I mean, Lats Razi ability is useful. It's Tractor at range 1. This one is Stress at range 1. So they're both useful. They have a comparable amount of usefulness. One of them you're giving up your green token, the other one you're giving up your target lock. So I think it's got to be 6 with equal or greater. I would think Lats is probably even better because the Tractor is more beneficial than a
One
than a
of them
stress.
only requires a lock. This one requires a green, which are much easier to come by.
True,
and-
but
Then you can pick any target around you.
The
versus
other
lock, you
devil's
have to-
advocate I have is like there aren't many mechanics that allow you to. For you to be like, hey, guess what? You're stressed now. That's kind of a rare ability.
Yeah, and there's a very easy synergy with her one of her partners in crime, 000. I mean, basically, you're telling an opposing ship, you're stressed. You have no choice. Because 000 is start of engagement if he can reach, so can Dr. Afra's ability. So 000 says the start of engagement, do you want to take a stress or give me a calculate? Well, if you give me a calculate, then I'm going to stress you later with Dr. Afra's ability anyway.
So again, it happens 3 times. You have to give up a token. Captain Phasma, the crew on the First Order, basically is doing that every turn to everyone. And you really, I mean, when's the last time you saw Captain Phasma as a crew anywhere? It's just,
Well, the chassis aren't exactly good in First Order for crew right now.
well, yeah. I mean, the shuttles are there, but there's other stuff like people always take Agent Tarek, so they take other crew instead. Commander Pyre. I mean, there's other options, and Captain Phasma is not too expensive. It's I think 5 points. So I think it's nice. I just don't think it's great. It's got to be 6 points and equal or more loadout than Lance.
If Phasma was available in Scum and able to be put on a YV66, I think that would be much more popular because it's on a chassis that wants to keep you in front. Because it's a much more valuable gun to keep on target, and telling someone they can't do certain maneuvers to get around you is pretty helpful. Unless they end up unmodded.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's, again, 6 points. You can make a case for it. More than that, probably not.
Let's keep it going. Hondo Onaka. Will?
All right, Hondo Onaka is an Initiative 1 fire spray. Has a small profit. All the stats are the same, normal fire spray, but has the ability that is an action Hondo can take. The action says, choose 2 non-huge ships at range 0 to 3 of you that are not friendly to each other. Each chosen ship may perform an action that is on your action bar, even while stressed, in the order of your choice. Then gain 1 calculate token. So choose normally a friendly and an enemy, if there's only 2 sides to the fight this Hondo Onaka is in. So not only can you coordinate your friend an action and you get to calculate, you'll have to give then an action to an enemy. Now, there's nothing saying that you can't choose yourself. You are range 0 of yourself. So you can choose yourself. You can say lock, let somebody else on the enemy's team get a action, whatever that might be, and then you can get a lock and a calculate at the same time. This starts getting really confusing when you start giving other people coordinate actions with your
Just keep the train going?
Well, no, you can't, because it's not on your action bar. It's got to be on your action bar. Each should perform an action that is on your action bar.
There's a crew member, Grief Arga, to my Yasbies. Let's see if I can remember what Grief Arga does. But it basically gives a bonus for coordinating people. Let me see.
Yeah, if you coordinate, they can take a lock on the ship.
After you coordinate a ship, it may acquire a lock on an object you have locked.
But does it have to coordinate action?
It does. It's a red coordinate. So, I don't know. It's just like one of those things. But The actions on the Fires page, reinforce, boost, are huge. Being able to give those actions to other Scum ships of your choice. If you're choosing Hondo to be this pseudo coordinator, giving reinforces to ships that don't normally have them. I'm thinking like Han Falcon, Dengar. Be like, hey, Dengar, have a red reinforce before you charge into the fight. Could be very interesting. Don't normally see a fire spray out there coordinating, but Hondo's, he's a special kind of pilot.
He's just looking for a little bit of profit. Just a little bit. Just
again, I think it's hilarious if you just give it to yourself. Like, whatever, you take a focused action, but I'm going to focus and calculate over here.
And how does it you choose who you coordinate first, right? So you got to say action first. So
you choose the two ships.
You choose the two ships, but then you decide who activates that action first.
Sure.
So if they move here, you can move there, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess if they choose to boost, the real wrinkle in Hondo is that his I-1. So he's giving ships actions, potentially boost actions before they even maneuver. Again, you want Dengar boosting towards you, Bosk boosting around a corner. Sounds terrifying.
Are we sure that it's actions that are only that you give out your actions, or they have to be matching?
They have to take Hondo's actions. Yeah, the possibilities, Marcel. It's perplexing. I agree.
All right, well, let's keep it going. We got an official update from AMG on some Hot Shots and Aces Republic. I know James, our Republic lover extraordinaire, excitedly posted these very quickly. He's like, ooh, look at some more stuff. And we started out here with two different Adi Galias. Let's go ahead, and the ability is the same on both of them. Of course, one is the 7B and one is the 7. Go ahead and take it, Ryan.
Adi Galia I5, 2 force, standard 1 recurring. While you defend at attack range 1, you may spend 1 force. If you do, the attacker cannot apply the range bonus. They don't get the range 1 dice. Second part, while you perform an attack against a defender at attack range 3, you may spend 1 force charge. If you do, the defender cannot apply the range bonus for their defense. So no additional green. Basically, Adi Galia is click, but only for herself, and requires force charges to be spent to do it.
Pretty straightforward. Initiative 5. I mean, that's having that self-sufficient ability. I mean, is that going to, as long as the price is right, is that going to make it a desirable ship?
I'm gonna guess. So all I5 Aether sprites right now are for CLT level are 5 points or higher, and all 7Bs are 7 points that are I5 and higher. Mm-hmm. So I assume, especially since Plo Koon also fits the bill of those. Plo Koon Aether Sprite CLT is 5. Plo Koon 7B is 7. I assume Adi Galia will land in the same spot. How much loadout and what slots? Don't know.
All the slots, all the loadout. All right, and here we got Kit Fisto, Initiative 4. I feel like we've seen this one already, right? Have we seen this one? Or am I making stuff up in my head?
Like a cut of it, so maybe not all the words for sure, but we probably guesstimated most of the words.
All right, take it, Marcel.
All right, Initiative 4 with 2 force, 1 recurring. While another friendly ship defends, if the attacker is in its bullseye, you may spend a force to change one of the defender's blank results to a focus. So basically, just if you're yellowing in there and you're taking a range 1 shot, one of your blanks will be focus. If Kit Fisto, now it doesn't have a range bonus that I see while another friendly ship defends. So that is without range. So I think that's important, that you can be on one end of the table and then on the other end of the table providing support to somebody who is just going in range 1.
All right, let's keep it going. Now this one, this is we suspected we might be getting something weird here when it came to Sicko in the lat. Will unlock this very strange, crazy ship for me.
All right. Well, let's. So Sicko is a pilot at Initiative 2. Has paragraphs of abilities. So they made it a condition. Their actual ability says after you execute a basic maneuver. So for a lat, that's not stopping. You may assign the sickening maneuver condition to yourself. So you do a 1 forward, and then you assign yourself this condition. It says you can execute red maneuvers even while stressed. So again, stopping while stressed, big thing they can do now. After you reveal a bank maneuver or turn maneuver, you must gain 1 strain and execute that maneuver as a side slip. After you reveal a straight maneuver, you must execute that maneuver as a red kilogram turn. After you execute a maneuver, remove this condition. So very similar to how the HMPs have their stabilizers turn on and off every other turn. The Sicko lat is going to be very similar. You do a basic maneuver, you turn on your sickening maneuvers. You activate your K-turns and your side slips. Both of those say must. So once you apply this condition, unless you stop, you have to do one of these side slips or K-turns.
That's pretty cool, man. A lat that can K-turn.
Lat that can K-turn is pretty interesting. A nice little 1K. Turn yourself around.
Yeah.
The side slipping is very confusing to me. I mean, you still rotate your arc the direction you put on your dial, but I can't even comprehend it.
Lean back.
That's a medium base side thingy. That's pretty good.
Yeah. What's the biggest? Do they don't have hard 3s, do they? You guys have probably flown one more than me. What's the dial look like? They do have red hard 3s.
Red hard 3, yeah. I think the big thing is that there's a white 3 bank.
Where's the white 3 bank?
Oh man, I think about that. Pretty good.
Wee! So you gotta watch out for Sicko.
Your lat does not want to go into combat, so yeah, this is going to be a perfect way to keep that arc on without actually having to get close to the enemy. Also, it does not have a front arc either. It most definitely has a 2-dice turret.
So that's just
you can probably put like barrage rockets or something.
Yeah, I'm saying, and on the card it has the front arc symbol on it.
It's only an article problem. There have been images of people getting the card where it is the bow tie's fixed.
It's all fixed up. Then we got Salama, blue 3 in the V19 Torrent. After you fully execute a maneuver, you may spend 2 charges to perform a slam action, even while stressed. All right, so Slammer, pretty straightforward. Initiative 1 could be good at could be a good piece for Republic for objectives, being able to get around the board.
I think if this torrent ends up being 3 points, I think this could be a sleeper. I won very good objective initiative. Even for scramble sometimes, even though high initiative does favor scramble a little bit, but definitely for boxes and taking up some space in assault. That slam is just after you fully execute, so you still get your normal action. So you can still do a focus, an evade, a lock, a barrel into evade, or a scenario action.
Oh, you.
Yeah, no advanced
it's also
slam
good to
needed, huh?
know.
If you put advanced slam, would it be double action?
No, because you stress yourself with advanced slam.
You also don't have the slam action on your action bar, which is required for advanced. But the very important thing to look at is so you can still perform a slam action while stressed. So that means you can do a red move, slam a blue move, and clear that stress, and then do your action.
I like me some slamming jamming.
You do a 2 talon roll, and then slam a 2 straight, and you have an action.
That's awesome.
Wherever you want to end up in that.
All right, then we got Gavin Skies. Gavin Skies, Bravo 6. What do we got here, Ryan?
We have a I3 N1 Starfighter standard stat line. While you defend or perform an attack, if the speed of your reveal maneuver is greater than the enemy ships, you may re-roll your blank results. So, very similar trigger to Rick Ollie, except not adding dice, but giving them more consistency by re-rolling the blanks. So, want a higher risk reward with Rick Ollie, or do you want a little more of a higher or a more consistent floor with Gavin Sykes? I'm not sure the loadout that this pilot's going to get, but N1s are about 4 or 5 points normally. I3 though maybe can land at 4 points instead of 5, like some of the other ones like Padme and Ricali.
All right, I think we have, that's it for the Republic. Now we got into some spoilers, unofficial spoilers. These cards, who knows where they came from, but there's a slew of cards. This is from the Hot Shots and Aces pack. When is this slated to release, guys?
December
The
2nd,
end of the
Hot Shots and Aces.
Okay.
The Siege of Coruscant is November 25th.
It's like Black Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, somebody got it in hand. I'm honestly going to assume that it's somebody overseas, because it seems like what has been happening is that the cards have been, like, the product has been shipping early to Australia specifically. That's my guess, because these came out of Australia or Europe, and they got there early, even though they're just kind of they're sitting on the shelf, and somebody's like, hey, I like X-Wing. Let's take a peek at what we got in here. Nobody needs to know where it came from. But here we go. Let's start with Lando Calrissian in that Scavenge YT-1300. This is for the Resistance. I was actually reading a book today, a new Star Wars book that has this era of Lando in it, but we'll get to that another time. The Old General. He says, after you fully execute a red maneuver or perform a red action, you may spend any number of charges to choose that many friendly ships at range 0 to 2. The chosen ships may perform an action even while stressed. This seems really good. This seems very similar to his Rebel ability. It kind of has some remnants of the Rise of Skywalker, with you got other ships around. You kind of, it's a pseudo coordinate that's contingent on Lando having done a red maneuver or a red action. Seems pretty solid.
It's funny that you say coordinate on him. The Resistance happens to have a crew member who gives you a red action. C-3PO gives you a red coordinate. So not only can you get... so you take coordinate as your action, your C-3PO coordinate. Mm-hmm. Lando gets a calculate, but then one ship gets 2 actions, potentially, and two other ships get 1 action, or you can give 4 ships 1 action. That's potentially a lot of actions.
That's a true general right there.
That's right.
That's commanding. Like, you might not have that many ships in your resistance list.
Well, if you think about it, with the Y-wings, you can...
boost lock, things like that.
Yeah, you can end up with like 20 actions.
Yeah. I mean, A-wings have 5 actions on their action bar, too.
Yeah, but it's gain a calculate or get a calculate action?
What do you mean?
The Y-wings with their...
It's an action for the Y-wings.
Yeah, you take an action like boost, and then you get a calculate.
You get a calculate, or you can take a calculate action?
You need to perform the calculate.
Yeah, it's calculate action.
You perform a calculate action.
So no, you can't feed.
But
you can't feed 2 actions to one of those and get like 3 calculates on it.
No, but what you're ending up doing is you get yourself your calculate. You coordinate yourself with one of those 3 you chose, so you get 2 actions, and then you also have 3 coordinates, the actual coordinate action plus choose 2 other friendly ships. If those 3 go to Y-wings, they get a target lock calculate, and then when they move, they also get their regular action, so they get 3 actions as well.
That is the funny part. You're one of those 3 ships as well. You are a friendly ship at range 0 to 2.
So, that means Lando
gives 2 actions. He takes 1 and then has a third one for somebody else. Yeah, so he gets focus lock. Poe gets boost barrel roll, and Zari gets a lock, I guess.
Yeah, you can end up with...
You get focus lock because you just took a lock and you're standing next to her.
Each, and then 2 on yourself.
And then you remember all the Y-wings are 4 points.
Yeah, maybe not Y-wings. Maybe not Y-wings.
Well, whatever.
But potentially, I mean,
you know who I think really likes this Lando is Kaz. Kaz would like some extra actions.
Jamming from BB-8 potentially could always use an extra action there. This Lando's got potential.
You want to talk about the most?
Is a big one.
You want to talk about the craziest possible amount of just down the rabbit hole coordinating in this faction. Put this Lando with C-3PO crew and put a Nodin with Hondo crew in the same list.
You just coordinate each other back and forth.
Everywhere.
I coordinate you. You could have an action. Well, it's going to be coordinating you. I was like, well, I guess if you're coordinating me, I'll give my action to you then. Yeah, pretty ridiculous.
I'm excited to see some Lando shenanigans. I'm a fan.
I hope this is 7. It's got to be 7 or more.
We've only seen Rey be the 8 cost. Do we think Rey will stand alone as the only 8? Will Lando join Chewie as the 7?
If this is 7 points, it's getting played. If it's at 8, there's consideration in the list.
It's not a Rebel Falcon. This is still a Resistance Falcon.
Well, I understand.
I think
you can 7. This is getting like
it makes you think. It makes you at least think about it, right? At 7.
No, 7's for sure like fantastic, like one of the best 7-point ships in that faction. At 8,
in the game.
Yeah, maybe in the game.
At 8, I would just take Rey.
I agree. I agree there.
But you can take Rey, Lando, and somebody else, and I mean, there's just 8. I would, at 8, there's still a reason to take it. I mean, 3 actions, a free action every turn plus 3 actions every couple turns.
I mean, like we saw Rey, Poe, Kaz, BB-8 do well in the past. And that didn't get hit by any chaff or Y-wing nerfs. So I think this Lando could slot right into that list.
Slide right in. Hey.
Well, so we know about the Poe, the I-6 Falcon Poe. That's crazy with the barrel rolling, can be on an obstacle, can do boosting crazy stuff like that. Who do you guys feel is more desirable?
Lando.
They were the
Lando for sure.
Poe?
It's Lando.
Poe does cool tricks. Lando gets the job done.
Yeah.
Like I think
Those are flying around and having fun.
right.
Lando's
I'm
for
actually
combat.
surprised how unanimous that is. Now, I'm not saying I actually don't know between them, to be honest, but I'm surprised how unanimous it is. I thought some people might be more in on Poe.
I mean, straight up, it's boost lock every turn.
Yep.
Or boost rotate. I mean, you can perform an action while stressed.
I mean,
If
yeah,
you
it's just
really
an
need it in a
action.
bind, yeah.
So like that, honestly, that is true. We do gotta point out that it is for each ship that you choose, you got to use 3 charges. So you can't be dropping triple coordinates every single round. But in the opening rounds, you certainly can, and in most rounds after that, he at least gets an action while boosting or while coordinating or whatever your red action might be.
I think one of the only reasons why I wouldn't consider a double Falcon list like you were mentioning with like Rey and this Lando is because I can't then have Rey Gunner on the non-Rey Falcon.
True.
I think that's a really big deal, to be honest. Is if you're, I haven't seen a Resistance Falcon do good that didn't have the name Rey in it, whether it's the pilot or the gunner.
Who said you can't do Lando, Chewie, or just put Rey on this?
Well, with Chewie, I don't think you have enough ships to maybe make his ability as scary. But Isofane is pointing out something that we haven't mentioned. As worded, he's saying that the ability of perform a red action, does that work with the bump focus?
Only for the other ships, not himself, because he cannot perform any more actions in his activation step. But other ships he can spend charges for other ships to do it, but he can't do another action himself.
That's so good. That's so good. All right, let's keep the party going here. Zay Versio, the child of Iden Versio, her father's daughter. Take it, Marcel.
All right. So it is a T-70. Initiative 3. While you defend, if the attacker is damaged, you may reroll one defense die. Okay.
That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, right?
Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty non-eventful. I think if I'm taking a T-70, I'm taking it more for the offensive potential than its defensive prowess.
I mean, this is all fluff, really, the ability, because this is the same as the TIE Fighter Del Mico, which is her father in canon. So there we go. It's not really it's just a little nod to the canon there. Now I will say this T-70 got me going. Interesting. Will?
All right, so this T-70 is Vencia Doza, Jade Leader.
That's
Vanessa.
Yeah.
Well, Star Wars it up a little bit, I guess. Anyways, Initiative 4, T-70, all the normal things, weapon hardpoint included, but has the ability, while you perform a torpedo or missile attack, you may treat the front arc requirement as rear arc for that attack. If you do, treat the range requirement as 1 to 2. So we're looking at not prockets, because that doesn't have a front arc. We're looking at torpedoes and missiles here. The one that makes sense to me would be cluster missiles. Advanced as
what
well.
What about advanced proton torpedoes?
Proton torps.
Yeah,
the
increase the range.
1 to 2, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think, does anything else have a really short range like that?
You could also consider things that are normally just range 2 to 3 to be able to be brought down to 1.
That's true. What about just regular proton torpedoes?
You can take.
Yeah.
So you can take So basically, if you do like an ion torpedo, let's say you just want you can just, that ion torpedo now is range 1 and 2 in the back.
Right.
So you can shoot range 1, 2 in the back with that ion torpedo.
Yeah,
Actually,
really,
kind of.
really hoping that this pilot has the 8 points for that advanced proton torpedo.
Mm-hmm.
Seems really good.
So
Fly
the advanced
right
proton
past
torpedo would
you.
be, so you would be 5 dice at range 2.
Out the back.
Rear arc.
Out the back.
Pretty sure all T-70s end up around like
All the 5-point T-70s.
10 to
I guess they're all 5 points these days, aren't they?
10 to 12 points. Well, I'm talking about loadout wise. 10 to 12
Oh, okay.
points.
Yeah.
They're very commonly within that range. Like, not enough to take pro torps in most of them, but enough to carry most serious munitions.
The Vanessa Doza you can end up getting like 3 4-dice attacks in a row. You attack with a proton torpedo for front arc range 3, right? And then you get into range 1, fire a primary 4-dice attack, and then fly away and get another 4-dice attack out the back. Oh man, that could be dirty.
If you're enabling munitions on this T-70, which isn't a common thing unless you were Poe, talk about someone who would also love a coordinate from Lando.
Mm-hmm. Lando, send it over, baby. All right. Oops, one too many. And we got one more here for the Resistance. Ryan?
All right, we have a Resistance transport. I-2, Taka Jamorisa. Snowgrath Enthusiast. I don't know what Snowgrath is in Star Wars. Normal stat line and action bar for the Resistance transport. The ability, after you jam, you must assign 1 jam token to another ship at range 0 to 1 of the jammed ship if able. If able, meaning they're within the range band. Friend or foe, doesn't matter. But it says specifically another. So no, even though it says range 0 to 1, it doesn't mean you can give it to the same ship you jammed. It just means it could be someone who bumped into that ship or is at range 1. Seems okay. Double jam, more jam is good. I guess not a ton of formations going around these days, but I mean, if there's enough, if Backstabber and Mauler combo continues on the rise, or more of those TIE fighters exist around Iden Versio as an example, those ships like to be close. That's a pretty easy double jam, but I mean, we haven't seen these Resistance transports do that great outside of Covenel. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends on the loadout, and if you can take like a sync laser or something like that, it'd be good.
This doesn't say jam action on it, does it?
No, it just says after you
can put
jam.
Hondo on this ship.
Hondo, oof, oof.
Oh, jamming
Double
at range
jam
3.
at range 3? Yikes.
So
Wow.
actually, think about it. You could give
Give an
one
action.
of those ships
Coordinate.
a coordinate, then jam one, and then it could jam it back.
So basically, free jam, a Hondo free jam,
Yeah.
right?
A Hondo free, as long as they're close enough to each other. Yeah. Range 3 jam, 2 of them.
That's hilarious. All right, well, those were our Resistance spoilers. Sorry, I'm tired. I'm starting to slur my words here. Then we got some FOs. Some foes. Here we got DT798, Jace Ruckland. Initiative 4. This is a TIE FO. While you perform a primary attack, if you are not strained, you may gain 1 strain token to roll an additional die. Well, this one's like, hey, Scorch, let's go be buddies, right? Like that's the first ship I thought of when I read this. It's like, well, if you're building a FO kind of pocket pieces, I would immediately grab DT798 and then also Scorch, grab them together. BFFs, for sure. I mean, any argument there? I feel like that's pretty straightforward.
I mean, I feel like I would prefer the stress, but the stress on Scorch does limit their time on target, whereas this guy can K-turn and still shoot the 3 attack dice. Great candidate for Proud or Fanatic.
Yeah, he got shot.
True.
Sure, whatever.
Yep. I mean, it's generally pretty appetizing to shoot something that's strain, but if there's one type of ship that can generally deal with strain better than others, it's things with 3 agility.
Just knocking it down to 2. Ryan, take a look at. Oops, sorry.
Assuming DT ends up being 3 points, I mean, 9 points for 3 FOs when it's Malris, Scorch, and DT. That seems like pretty good, actually.
Let's keep it going. Ryan, take a look at DT. Sorry, not that one. Lieutenant Gaelic.
I5. Another I5 FO. After another friendly ship at range 0 to 2 is destroyed, you may perform a coordinate action, even while stressed. While you coordinate, the ship you choose can perform only an action. Can perform an action only if that action is also on your action bar. So, Lieutenant Gaelic basically has a built-in discipline-timed squad leader that will not stress herself, but she can still coordinate while stressed. So, friend dies at range 0 to 2. I'm going to perform a coordinate action, even though I'm stressed, however you might be stressed. That ship can only perform a focus, an evade, a lock, or barrel, which we know that discipline is already a pretty good upgrade in the game. It's not used a ton, but when we see it used, it is effective. And 2 of those abilities on discipline or actions are on Gaelic, which is a lock and a barrel. Hopeful, a little bit to a lesser degree, generally tends to be favored with the boost, so focus not too big of a deal. But evade, that's a big one, I think. If you need a little bit extra defense as stuff, if there's any more shots incoming, evade. I'll be curious to see if Gaelic gets a secondary weapon like Malris does at I5.
Maybe. We'll find out. Here we go. Now we got Lynn Gava with the primed for speed condition card. Marcel?
All right, initiative 3. Tie FO. After placing forces, assign the primed for speed condition to yourself and 2 other friendly ships. Actually, no, to 2 other friendly TIE FO and TIE SF fighters that have no equipped upgrades. They're mods, right?
Only not mod upgrades, yeah.
To them. And then you add a white action, what is that? The slam action to your action bar. After you perform a slam action, you must, it's a must, suffer a damage to remove a disarm token. So basically you're giving up your and their mod upgrades to add that slam action without a weapons disabled, but you get the you have to take a damage, which can, I think the obvious one is quick draw. Just get quick draw in there real quick. The downside to it is that you'll have to have either have been coordinated or something like that in order, or else you're going to be shooting an unmodded attack. Assuming you're not, probably you've taken a target lock or something before that. In that case, you can just move maybe 3 forward, slam into a 3 sloop. You already have that target lock from a turn before or something like that. Now even if you've got pattern analyzer, because you did a red maneuver, you would be able to trigger the pattern analyzer. The pattern analyzer would still trigger, would it not? So you would still be able to 3 forward, 3 sloop with the pattern analyzer, take the action. You lose your shield from the auto damage, and now you're shooting at initiatives. Well, you're shooting at activation initiative 6, so potentially even killing another initiative 6 during the activation phase. Kind of beats flying over a rock and maybe taking 2 damage. Another one is Phasma. Phasma can do this and pass off that damage to somebody else. And I mean, it's really good. I think more than anything else, the ability to just nope out of there and be in pretty be in pretty good places in terms of just have really good positioning. You can't do advanced slamming, like I said, but it's pretty good. I like it. I don't know, what do you guys think? It's and the Typhos, I didn't even think about the Typhos, but the Typhos probably don't want to take that extra damage.
Throw Fanatical on your Typho and have it slam round one. There you go. But you got an free offensive modifier.
I think it's going to be definitely depending on the cost. Like being able to have utility on the FOs seems really strong. Or again, depending on the cost, people were talking about super speed quick draw. Obviously, no shield upgrade on that quick draw because it couldn't have any modifications equipped. But could be pretty ridiculous to see a quick draw, slam, take a damage, and then fire. For in that sequence could be pretty crazy.
Yeah, just with that pattern analyze. If you pattern analyzer while slooping, you get your action before the disarm.
Well, it doesn't really matter. Does it?
Well, it matters for quick draw.
It matters for the timing of quick draw. I'm actually not even 100% sure that pattern analyzer comes before you would suffer that damage. Because after you perform the slam action, you must suffer 1 damage from disarm.
Yeah, but isn't the slam action the slam maneuver?
Yeah, like I don't know the timing of if you could pattern analyzer to get an action before shooting. I don't think there's...
Well, they're both after you do the maneuver. One of them is after you perform the action, which is slam. But I guess that happens first because you can essentially bump.
I guess it depends. It depends on when you get the weapons disabled. I always thought you got the weapons disabled afterwards, which would work then. You sloop before you get the stress. You pattern analyzer, and then you take the damage. We'll see. We'll see if people end up putting this on quick draw. But it has some potential.
I got to give a quick shout out to Lambolo for the donation. Thank you. He said, GSP baby, love bond for you. Thank you. Alara says thank you. We'll make sure to buy some diapers, and wipes with that. We need plenty.
Oh, the only other thing with this pilot is Agent Terex can be handing out dead man switches to FOs and SFs. So you could, a 1 health FO could just slam into your formation and blow up with a dead man switch.
There's a bomb. Trajectory
simulator. Here's 5 forward. Here's a bomb you can't stop.
Pop.
Yeah, because you could even prime your own bomb. You just slam around for a couple turns until you're down to 1 health.
Do it. I swear to God, I'll do it.
You come over to my objectives. I swear.
It's hilarious. Oh man. Okay, let's keep it going. Lynn Gava, you're gonna be a fun one. All right. Now this is the one I saw a lot of discussion on whether or not it's good or not. That's the question. Will, can you guide us through this, please?
Okay. So this is how would you say it? Tyranny?
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 One of those two. The agent.
Agent Tyranny. Wow. Oh, what a name. Anyways, an Initiative 3 size shuttle and has a condition that is, their ability says, set up. After placing forces, you must assign the broken trust condition to an enemy ship. The broken trust condition that you give to an enemy says, treat friendly ships as allied. Non-enemy ships treat you as allied. While performing an attack, before declaring the defender, each allied ship in the attack arc that is not stress gains 1 stress token. After you defend or perform an attack, if the defender was dealt at least one face-up damage card, or it was destroyed. Remove this condition. So I guess we gotta define allied. Allied is not
put that in our
friendly.
GSP chat to help clarify.
You got the definition of it?
Yep,
Perfect.
I screenshotted out of the rules reference in our GSP chat.
Now I will quote it directly then. So, allied says that allied ships. Hold on, let me just read. Some ships controlled by the same player are allied to each other instead of being friendly. Allied ships are used by their player. Much like friendly ships, but do not interact with effects that affect friendly ships. Long story short, they are on the same team, but they are not friendly. And then there's some bullet points here. Ships cannot perform attacks against allied ships unless specified otherwise. A ship is not friendly to its allied ships, and abilities that affect friendly ships do not affect allied ships. A ship is not allied with itself, and so abilities that affect allied ships do not affect the ship that produces them. So a lot of abilities that ask about friendly ships are mostly coordinate, in addition to like token passing is a very standard one that you can trade off between the ships in your squad. But Ryan, let me pass this through you here. So treat friendly ships as allied. That's straightforward. The ships you deployed with are no longer your friends. Non-enemy ships treat you as allied. If I'm understanding that correctly,
Your allied ships treat you as allied. In other words,
Right,
you
that
can't
would
coordinate them, and they can't coordinate you. And
Right, that would be
everything. You throw that on that lander with 3 coordinates. That lander cannot do that because it says
he can coordinate
do it to
himself.
ship
I guess he's
only
still
one
friendly
person,
to himself.
Yeah,
It's
not really.
unconfirmed whether or not you can still work on yourself with stuff. With how
Well, you're
allies
friendly.
work.
Yeah, you're no
You're a
longer
friendly
friendly,
ship.
are you?
You are a
You're
friendly
allied
ship.
to yourself all of a
Now
sudden.
you're allied to yourself. You're not friendly to
Wow.
yourself anymore.
Yeah.
What's an existential
the
crisis?
big question is, and some of the judges I've talked to is like, all right, if that's true, how much other stuff does this break the precedence of the entire game system itself?
I mean,
consider that.
You're not friendly. I don't know what to tell you.
That's it. All abilities are blank. Like you throw that on Hull Runner. Hull Runner is a 4-point I5 generic type fighter because he
So
cannot.
I think we understand the penalties that it has. Let's go. There is this whole other paragraph about the stress. While performing an attack before declaring the defender, each allied ship. So again, these allies are only going to be the people on your team, and if they're in your arc when you attack, they get a stress token. So this is stressing out friendlies as another penalty. So if this is, I'm trying to think of that. Howl Runner is a great example, actually, as well. Howl Runner is normally in the back of the TIE swarm, so all the TIEs in front of her are going to get stressed when she attacks. Then let me make sure I have this correct. So to get rid of this very powerful condition, it says after you defend or perform an attack, if the defender was dealt at least one face-up damage card or was destroyed, remove this condition. So you have to crit somebody, destroy somebody, or be crit yourself before you can lose this condition. Do I understand that correct?
That is crit while you defend or perform an attack. So if it's a proton bomb, no. If it's a debris cloud, no. It has to be when it's essentially the theme of it. They are trying to prove that either someone's really trying to hurt you from the other side, who's trying to quote recruit you, or you are fighting back against them for real, trying to crit them.
I genuinely think that this is one of the cards that could end up in the ban list because
that has a lot of control. It ends up breaking so many abilities.
It breaks the entire. It breaks everything. I mean, it genuinely breaks everything. Again, you're playing against a lat. You bring a lat. Now that lat is doing nothing. It's not giving rerolls to friendlies. It's not coordinating.
It's not stressing friendlies is what it's doing.
It's just in there. It essentially makes you take one of your ships and say, "Oh God, I need to fly this thing off the board or have it solo on the other side." And the thing is, you assign this condition after placing forces. So you basically get to see, okay, this is their list. Which is a support ship, which is the one that wants to do things, or which is the ship that wants to kind of hang back and be the hammer after you get the first roll, and say that ship is not going to play this game because you don't have to attack it. You can just basically, it's just if it comes in for the attack, it's only creating harm to himself by stressing all its allied ships. I mean, it's just.
There are two sides to it, though. If you use Tyranny's condition on something that is like a lat, say even Hound, right? 6 cost, people still considering taking Hound. Are you going to give up the capability of killing that Hound by trying to keep this ability on the board, or are you still going to go after that Hound and just hope you don't do crits to get that off early? Because it's still pretty good to affect that Hound and turn it off in the beginning of the game and as it goes on anyway. So, but saying that you shouldn't attack it the entire game, that you're just you're telling your opponent that they don't have to worry about you killing 6 points of their list.
No, but it also
you can go to objectives.
Yeah, but you can also, again, if it's Hound, for example, the 6 points of the Hound you brought those 6 points. That's a lot of points for a specific purpose. So you're basically saying that ship is not going to serve that purpose until I want it to serve that purpose.
Sure,
so during that initial engagement, you're getting rid of all the rerolls. You're getting rid of, if it's got 7th Fleet Gunner, you're getting rid of the additional die. Like, you control when, and then even then, to your point, you may not land. I mean, there's things, if you can target lock. Oh, I rolled a crit. Okay, let me re-roll that and make sure that I don't get the crits in there. I mean, there's things that you can potentially do and just kill it when it's necessary. But for the most part, get rid of its, change the reason why that ship is there in the first place. So the person who's flying that, when you build your list and you build it to do a thing, and now you can't do that thing, your entire game plan is messed up. It's, now you have to basically come up with a new game, a new strategy on the spot during, round 1 planning phase, because now I got to point, instead of pointing my arc here to cover all my ships, now I got to point my arc there to make sure I don't stress all my ships, or choose not to attack.
To clarify a couple of questions that I saw in the chat, attack arc is the arc of the weapon that is been chosen for that attack. Some people are asking about specific ships that have multiple arcs. For instance, if you have something with a bow tie arc and also a front arc, if the front arc was the chosen weapon, then the bow tie arc would not trigger the stress ability and apply to whatever combination of scenarios you want. It has to be the actual attacking weapon.
Yeah, so let's say you put Broken Trust, for whatever reason, on Shakti Ada. You don't want it coordinating friends, right? Or giving them extra tokens. Shakti, if chooses to do the bullseye shot, if there aren't any friends in there, it's the bullseye arc that you'd have to worry about for giving your friends stress. So, depending on if you do a bullseye attack or range restricted attack, like a range 1 only from munition, or range 2 to 3, or 1 to 2, etc.
Okay, but now my question is this: you say bullseye arc, so you declare the bullseye. So it says while performing an attack before declaring the defender. So you measure to see if there's anyone in bullseye first, and then before you declare the defender, if nobody's there, you just say, okay, no bullseye, no shot. Right? Like you don't have to commit to that weapon. You can check your arc first before.
You can check all. You can check every
You can check
weapon.
all
Yeah.
applicable arcs. If you don't have a side arc weapon, you don't check the side arc. You know what I mean?
I should clarify. It says attack arc, not attack ranges. So if it is like a munition or a secondary weapon, the range band doesn't matter. It's still the arc. But it does differentiate if, say, you have a 180 arc or a bullseye arc or front arc or rear arc, etc.
So let me ask you though. I say I'm Han Solo. I'm in a Falcon, and I say I'm gonna attack with my bow tie, the only weapon I brought. Is that 180 degrees of arc, or is that 90 degrees?
No, because it's.
I believe it's 180 degrees.
Yeah, because your bow tie it's one.
No, when you attack, you pick it. So it's depicting a bow tie as two things. But when used by almost all rules cases, it's one side turret. It's just two put together. Does that make sense?
So is that two weapons or one weapon though?
So if you attack with Han, you're only going to apply the stress out the one side you're shooting.
But I haven't declared my defender yet though.
I don't think that's true. I think it's both sides, because the other ones says.
How do you know? Yeah, how do you know which arc I'm attacking from?
Like veteran turret gunner specifically says from a direction you have not shot from before, but it's not a different weapon. It's the same weapon.
Arc you're still
shooting in a different direction.
Is still when you're checking. So
The bow tie is a singular weapon. It's not two weapons, and so it's a singular weapon with a singular arc.
It is singular when it's depicted for the ease and on the card, but for all purposes and game effects such as veteran turret gunner, Han gunner, any of the other gunners that depict a single turret arc, when used for bow tie, it's only using one of them.
No, I understand that, but so
I get the timing question for sure, though, Will, because you're saying. When I
chose my weapon.
I'm using
chose
my
bow tie,
primary, right? Like I'm using my bow tie, but I've yet to declare the defender, right? Because I don't know if I want to do left or right or front or back. It's weird, I guess, in that instance.
Okay, so that might be TBD on that one, but I do think the what do I want to say that. It was very powerful, to say the least. If that condition placed on a linchpin, could just demoralize a whole squadron.
I would say this is, in my opinion, this is probably the most feel bad card. After
worse than Sloan Marcel?
Yeah, it's the most.
Well, what if you have no friendly? What if you're all just strikers that don't care about friendlies, Marcel?
There are definitely list archetypes and ships that don't care about.
Yeah, they don't play together. I guess.
But yeah,
so many
Scum ships, like they might not have any abilities, right? It's really just shutting down Republic and Rebels.
I don't know. It's really bad. I got a feeling this will be.
The stress part still matters, but it is big to note that is if they're not stressed. You're not going to double stress anybody.
Yeah, I will say another candidate to be looking at for this card is anybody who normally shoots an ion cannon, because they can't do face-up damage cards then if they're shooting the ion. And start shooting primary, sir. No more.
I mean, a lot of Iden Versio TIE fighters are using ion cannons.
Yeah, now she's got no friends.
No friendly TIE fighters.
Ability either.
I'd like confirmation whether you're because that matters a lot. Whether you yourself treat yourself as allied versus friendly.
We don't have 100% confirmation on that at all.
Yeah, because I guess that would make Ida not work on herself, because all of a sudden she's not a friendly to herself. She's not a friendly to ILN.
I mean, if we're going straight keywords, that's where the
I
question
feel like that
is.
would be true in my opinion. Friendly ships are allied. You are friendly to yourself.
Ship, so you are allied to yourself now.
The unfortunate problem is we've never come into this situation before, and maybe the word does this wording, and if we take it as it says, break something else in the game?
Right.
When you aren't friendly to yourself for some other instance, like how bad does it break something else in the game? Not like on a game balance perspective, but on literally how the game is played.
Sure. Like if acquire a lock said, take a lock action, you as a friendly to your ship to yourself can acquire a lock or something like that. Like whatever the case may be.
Some base mechanic that really would
right.
Yeah. I went down the rabbit hole the day this came out and counted every single pilot and upgrade that is friendly. It basically means Agent Tyranny is potentially the widest reaching and widest affecting card in the game that can shut down something like completely or its ability completely. There are 56 upgrades and there are 153 pilots in the game.
Is that counting just anybody who's got a coordinate action?
No.
No, that's just counting somebody that says the word
it says friendly.
So it's just a friendly in the keyword of text.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting there are some pilots that you would think would be affected by tyranny, but are not. Gamut Key's ability does not say friendly; it says ship, because as we know, people can be shut down with keeping some orange tokens around. Unfortunately, Kanan Jarrus Hawk does not say friendly either.
Sad.
And if you want to hear the weirdest corner case, our old friend GA97, it's the resistance droid.
Yep.
Say you because
because it's at the beginning of place forces.
It's worse.
Oh no.
GA97 says before placing forces, which is before tyranny, right?
Before
you may spend 3 to 5 charges. But here's what the condition says. So let's say you put something in reserves. If you know this, you won't. Tyranny says I want to broken trust the ship holding GA97. Well, here's the condition, because you put the condition on the ship that goes in reserves. At the start of a round, if all of the friendly GA97 charges are active, you must deploy. Then remove this card. After the friendly GA97 is destroyed, you must deploy. Basically, if it's not friendly, you may not be able to come out of reserves ever.
Where are all my friends? They go, man. They go.
They go.
GA97 is a little broken trust now. Sorry.
Wow. They straight like, yeah, I'll meet you there. Peace. Just never shows up. Man, that's some brutal broken trust. Just ghosted the rest of the resistance.
An extra reason to put something like a marksmanship on all your lists. So I mean, it'll change the way you list build to add more crits, I think.
I mean, it's probably less about the crits and more just about being more self-reliant and less needing of those combos between ships. I mean,
Cry in Rebels.
I'm still pretty concerned about Agent Tyranny's effect on the game, whether or not she's competitive at all, right? She has this feeling like Ensnare Nantex, right? It's going to make someone feel bad. Whether or not it's competitive at all, who cares? Its effect on the game could be not a positive experience. But I did, on the flip side, this does give us a checks and balance against combo when it is prevalent. It says in the future, if something has the potential to be this combo crazy, Tyranny can break it.
The tyranny of Agent Tyranny. Trying to keep the game in balance. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next section. We had a few Scum and Villainy pilots show up. Now these are extra small here. Let's see if we can get them to enhance just a bit. We need to enhance. Let's pull over this window right here.
Quick question, just can you attack allied ships?
No, it said that in allied
Okay.
thing, unless specified otherwise, which I assume R5TK might be the one you're thinking about, but that might also say you can attack friendlies, which would mean you couldn't attack
An allied.
Really weird.
All right, well, let's keep it going. We had some separatists here. Aura Singh in the Fire Spray Patrol Ship, Initiative 4. Bane of the Jedi. Before you engage, you may spend 1 force to choose 2 enemy ships at range 0 to 1. Transfer any number of orange and red tokens between those 2 ships. This pilot does have a single recurring force charge. It's a fallen Jedi, if you remember that from the lore of Star Wars. Yeah, before you engage, spend the force, swap. And be like, hey, you know those stress over there? That belongs to this ship, actually. That's crazy.
Or lock.
Or locks, true.
Like Aura Singh could lock someone, and then that something could be out of her arc. But there could be another enemy ship in her arc, and she's I'm putting it here now.
That, you know, I think that is the less obvious play, but probably in practice the more kind of like tactical play a lot of times when you have to make those adjustments on the fly. Of course, you could also just cripple somebody being like, oh, hey, cute, you're flying that ship that loves collecting a bunch of stress tokens. Actually, it belongs to, all those stress tokens belong to this ship now.
So the 2 enemy ships have to be at range 0 to 1 of yourself, not of each other.
Correct.
One on your left, one on your right, front, back, as long as it's range 0 to 1.
Front back's a really good option when you're shooting front back.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Gunner.
Before you engage. Oh, the target lock didn't work out. I'm about to engage behind me now.
Is there any like 000 effects? Like all I can think of is like Palpatine crew that you could stress somebody before you activate and then move that stress to somebody else. Is there any other effects like that? Can't really think of any other ones off the top of my head.
On Separatist?
Yeah. Like crew or anything. They don't have a wealth of crew.
Separatists don't have a wealth of those types.
There is treacherous where you could strain an enemy, and then you can move that strain to the ship you're trying to shoot.
Yeah, that's true.
I think with the bump focus, stress is probably going to be the thing that ends up getting used the most. But there's going to be some sneaky ways to use this. Orange tokens.
You've got Ensnare.
Taking a tractor off of a maybe a large or medium base ship and passing it to a small base ship.
I mean, you could, with the higher increase in those repairing astromechs from the Yavin X-Wings and maybe any regen-based stuff in general. If the ship's higher initiative and already had to deal with their disarm token, you can move it along to another enemy ship that hasn't shot yet. I mean, I-4 is a weird spot for Aura to do that because it is before you engage, but don't count it out. I think the big thing with Aura is because she already has a force charge, will she be given another crew slot or not?
That'd be dangerous. I mean, it's twofold on her ability.
Never had a 2 force fire spray before.
I mean, the child.
You can throw the child out.
Never
Child
had a
seems to
2
be doing pretty
recurring
good.
force fire spray. Sorry.
Sure. Now, Dune, you did say tractor, which makes me think about ion as well. If you get an extra ion or 2 stuck on a large or medium base, you could throw it over to a small base.
Yeet.
Even break a lock.
Or if you have
Ion Bomb, that's 3.
2 ion tokens on. Yeah, you're right. Ion bomb. Well, Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, because I am 3. You can take one of those 3 and pass it off to a different one, so that now
To
both
another
ships.
small ship that isn't
True.
Argon.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Break some locks with that too.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's keep it going here. The triple pip Kelrodo AI holdout. Go ahead, Ryan.
I2 Vulture Droid. It is a modified for organics version. This ship is not affected by the standardized restriction. Reduce the difficulty of your 2 and 3 banks, so your 2 bank becomes blue and your 3 bank becomes white. And increase the difficulty of your speed 3, which is now a speed 3 turn, which is now a red 3 turn. I'm pretty sure we have a typo here, because on the card it has a calculate action base, but has a barrel roll link focus, and it says it's a modified for organics. We've seen the Tri-Fighter Volan Das that had focus across the board. So my guess is that's gonna be errated to a focus instead of a calculate.
Could they argue though that it's a calculate? Because there is, it's modified for organics, but it's also like an AI thing kind of in this. So maybe it's similar to the TIE Brute, where it had this computer system aboard, but also a human pilot.
It would almost feel, it would make more sense if the base action was focused, and if you barreled, you would need the droid's help to get the other action to get that.
I would agree. I would agree for fluff reasons, for sure.
Yeah. But they might keep it and just say, yeah, it's the hybrid effect. I just wish it was reversed. Like you said, like the Brute. That would make a little more sense. But the ship does have an actual ability. After you are destroyed, you may transfer each of your locks and green tokens to another friendly Kelrodo AI holdout at range 0. So you're incentivized to bring more than one of these, because when one dies, all your tokens from the dead one goes to any one of the alive ones at range 0. So they're only sharing tokens on death.
And the last one from this set, the Iron Assembler. Marcel?
All right. The Scintilla Scavenger is Initiative 1. After a friendly... It's an Initiative 1 vulture, basically a droid. After a friendly ship at range 0 to 1 skips its execute maneuver step, so basically when you're on a rock and you skip your step to not execute that maneuver, you may spend a charge, 3 charges altogether, non-recurring. If you do, if there is an asteroid or debris cloud at range 0 of it, that ship may repair damage. So basically it's a repair droid, and it's a repair droid for yourself and another ship at range 0 to 1. So if you have 2 ships parked on the same rock, you're basically just, by staying there parked, you're repairing a damage up to 3 times. And it doesn't say once per round. So if both ships, let's say somebody dropped a bomb and both of your ships are damaged, then you can spend 2 charges the following turn and regenerate both of those damage that got dropped. Now, question for the rules people here, Ryan and William. Not that I don't think Dion knows the rules, but I think Dion doesn't know the rules.
I'm also functioning on half a brain right now. So
when it says repair 1 damage, does a face-up card also constitute as 1 damage, or do you have to fix that crit first and then repair the damage?
Repairing a crit is flipping the card.
Yeah, when you repair a crit, you flip it face down. When you repair a face down card, you remove it.
Okay, so you can only do this to face down damage.
1 damage, though.
And a crit is a damage.
Qualify as either one.
Because what if you only have 1 crit? Let's say you have fuel leak. So you have 1 crit card, 1
so it flips
damage.
face down.
It just flips face down. That's it.
So it flips face down when you repair 1 damage.
Think about direct hit. Direct hit says suffer 1 damage, then repair this card, and you flip it face down because you're done doing the
repairing
direct
the
hit.
card. That's not repairing a damage. I think there's a difference between repairing
I think
a crit.
there's a keyword differential here.
Okay.
So I think it doesn't work on crits.
You're not repairing a damage by flipping a crit. That's not repairing a damage.
You're repairing a crit.
So you're saying this should say repair 1 damage card.
But it doesn't say card, it just says damage.
It doesn't.
So does that mean that you can take the fuel leak and just repair the fuel leak because it's a damage, and that's the only damage you have?
I think if I was judging an event with this, I would say that it just flips face down, unless there's some clear evidence in the rule book that differentiates a damage between and a damage card.
Yeah, because a fuel leak does not constitute. You don't have 2 damage when you have a face-up card. You have 1 damage. So you only have 1. If you have if you're playing half points with a 3-hull ship, a face-up damage card does not mean you have half points. It's still 1 damage.
Well, then so then if I wanted to take it to that extreme, what I would say is that then this does nothing for crits. Is what I would.
Be for face downs.
It would just be for face downs.
That might be true too.
Well,
And that's what I'm thinking too.
Here's the thing: is that a repair a damage means nothing in this game. What does 1 damage mean?
Well, so the only time where it does show up is when things say suffer X number of damage. That happens when you're attacking or defending, right? So repairing X damage would be the reverse or the opposite. You could infer of suffering.
Does the repair damage?
I double checked in.
If you have a shield upgrade, does repair damage mean you could take the shield? There's no card. So
there is a definite difference between
shield and damage because it's a shield.
I double checked, and there's nothing that refers to just a damage. Every card in X-Wing so far refers to a damage card. So we'll
have to see if that gets a clarification or errata as soon as it gets released or not.
Yeah.
I think thematically it looks pretty cool to just have this dude kind of scavenging through rocks for parts for his also works on himself too.
Roger. Look what I found.
Oh, that's true. A 6 health Roger.
Works on itself as long as there's not a tyranny on the other side.
You're turning my vulture. I think I'm okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Speaking of tyranny, does not affect Dooku crew or the upcoming Dooku Sith infiltrator pilot. It's not friendly. It doesn't matter. Just affecting some dice.
Love it. All right. All right, and then last but not least, we have some additions, some more spoilers, some additions to the upcoming Siege of Coruscant. We have some standardized. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what the words we're using for this. Standardized
loadout.
So standardized loadout versions of 4 pilots that we have already in the game, but now they're just standardized versions. Will, pick one.
I'll do this Bactoid prototype at the beginning because it's easy. The Bactoid prototype has the exact same ability, being able to ignore restrictions if a friendly with network calculations has its ship locked, has network calculations, all that's normal. This one does have the upgrades homing missile as normal, but then has the 2 new abilities for the Siege of Coruscant. Contingency Protocol. Says after they're destroyed, each ship with contingency protocol at range 0 to 3 gets to perform an action even while stressed, and has strut lock override. This replaces the grappling struts, but says at the start of your activation, so before you move, like when you flip your X-Wing foils, you can spend a charge of 2. If you do, you ignore obstacles while you move through them this round. So you cannot overlap them. Move through is only template. And you got to call it out beforehand before you actually do that maneuver, and you can only do it twice per game. I'm not exactly the landing on obstacles, but still pretty good. A kind of collision detector for these vultures and hyenas who can take them.
All right, let's keep it going. We have DBS 404. Oh no! Oh no! While you perform an attack at range 1, you must roll 1 additional attack die. After the attack hits, suffer critical damage. That's normal. Has network calculations. That's normal. As for loadout, advanced proton torpedoes. Not surprised to see that. That is what people love running on this thing to try to get to that 6 attack dice. Has contingency protocol, which we just took a look at there with the Bactoid and the strut lock override. I mean, what are your thoughts looking at this one? Like, besides the fact that it's standardized, it's just an advantage if maybe it's slightly cheaper, because this is almost exactly what's being
worth noting. Both of these 2 hyenas we just went over are 3 points. Normally 404 is...
That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Normally 404 is 4 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think now this might be the difference is that on these ships in particular, that the contingency protocol that you can only get in the Siege of Coruscant pilots. So to, I think, take advantage of that, you got to be running these guys, multiple of them together. But that ability is very powerful. You kill a Siege of Coruscant Vulture, 4/4 can get that target lock for his advanced proton torpedoes. So you can barrel roll then target lock to get those advanced proton torpedoes off. So that's really important. I think that these guys can be cheaper because they don't have those struts. Not being able to flip them and land on obstacles does affect how we traditionally think about vultures.
That and no ability to take indie calculations to be more of a loner. So they are more incentivized to bring more of them, which means they kind of wanted to make them, I assume, cheaper for that purpose.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, we got a couple more. Marcel, take the RFOC prototype.
Is that the same name as the other Initiative 5s that got taken away? Okay.
That got banned and is now returned. Our first ban returning.
That's right.
So it's at the start of the engagement phase. If there is an enemy ship in your bullseye, you gain a calculate token. But pretty good. And then it comes equipped with afterburners, with contingency protocol, which we talked about earlier, and evasion sequence 7.
This is new.
While you perform a red evade action, which they have a barrel linked to a red evade, if there is an obstacle or scenario feature, does that say feature?
Yeah,
if
sure
there's
does.
an obstacle or scenario feature at range 1, treat the action as white instead. So it's kind of like a debris gambit. So it basically allows you to barrel roll. So you can then barrel roll focus for, without the stress.
In assault, that don't seem too hard to do.
No, well, so that's the thing. I double checked. I thought scenario feature was only going to be for these scenario packs, like the invisible hand that you're defending as the separatistness. Scenario features are still all of those scenario tokens that are in all of our standard play.
Yeah. And then on top of that,
obstacles and scenarios, but it does specifically say range 1. You cannot be range 0 of those scenario features to trigger this.
So you can't barrel on the objective.
No, but I mean, most of the time with 3 to 5 objectives plus 6 obstacles, you can essentially barrel roll, evade, and gain a calculate for that bullseye.
And you have afterburners too.
And afterburners, yes. So you can afterburners, barrel roll, evade, calculate at Initiative 5.
But was there Was this the very expensive Tri-Fighter? I swear that there was a very expensive Tri-Fighter.
This is the one that people have been trying to make work.
In what points bracket are you talking? Are we talking?
I thought there was a
AMD
5. No, I thought that in those points that they released, that one of them was 5 points.
Oh, it's not this one.
Okay.
This one's 4, and you can get 2 of them. It's 2 picks.
That's not bad for 4
Four's not bad
points.
for essentially droid Soontir out there.
Yeah, for boost, barrel roll, evade, calculate.
2 droid Soontirs.
Yeah, you get boost, barrel roll, evade, calculate. Well, not every turn, but close to
turns,
it.
but
The
yeah.
2 turns that can matter when you're playing 6-7 turn games. That's a lot.
But you can do the evade, calculate.
The
Always.
5-point try is T81 that has a changed ability from his original, but has outmaneuver and afterburn.
Oh, is that in our list here, or is that was spoiled already?
It's one
That
that's
was
already
a-
been shown before.
Ah, okay.
And the last one we were showing was what, Will?
All right, let's take a look here. This one is DIS 347. I'm just gonna pull this up in my full screen here. All right. Anyways, this is the Initiative 3 Tri-Fighter, I believe, making a return from a customized version. At the start of the engagement phase, you can acquire a lock on an object at range 1 to 3 that has a friendly lock, so it keeps their same ability. This one has marksmanship, afterburners, and the contingency protocol. So they really trying to get these Tri-Fighters to feel fast, giving each one of them afterburners.
I mean, because when they originally made them, they had a slam abilities. Yeah.
Big, yep.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, no intercept boosters, because you can't flip it down, can you?
Mm-hmm.
So afterburners make sense, at least for now. And potentially more viable. Because it can be used all game versus the slam thing is only at the beginning.
True.
So, with all these cards coming through, what's the number one pilot from the ones we saw today that maybe got you excited? You want to start tinkering some list building with? What you got, Marcel?
Well,
Don't take mine.
I'm not excited about Tyranny. Not excited, just because I don't think I like where that road leads.
Right.
Excited to play with. I would say I'm stuck between Lando and that slam damager.
You get one. You get one. Don't take multiple.
It's Lando or slam action. So whatever they don't take is the one that I take.
Are you talking about
Slam FO or whatever you call it?
Lin Gava.
Yeah.
Got it. Marcel? Will?
The one I'm most excited about, Hondo Naka. Really just throwing a big loop into the how you think about actions on your team, like when you're taking actions outside of just coordinating and factoring in getting random actions from your opponents as well. As much as I would like to fly Hondo, I would really like to fly against some Hondos. Maybe I would give me some extra actions, Hondo, if you don't mind. Sounds great.
Will, you're set if Tyranny becomes good, because Hondo's one of those characters that actually benefits from Tyranny.
Not friendly to each other, yeah. So if you Tyranny Hondo, he could just give it to his friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Or anyone on the list. And Tyranny's a must, so it's not like she can opt out of doing it against a Hondo Fire Spray list.
That sounds amazing.
Wait. Now, as far as with Tyranny, it's about they're allied to you and you're allied to them, but they're still friendly to each other, right?
No, no. Hondo is not friendly to each other. So if Hondo has the broken trust, he chooses Fen Rao, who he deployed with, and himself, 2 ships that are not friendly with each other.
So
But happen to be deployed on the same side, it turns
or if
out.
Tyranny chooses someone else, you just consistently use Hondo's ability on that other friend in your list.
Yeah, they want to put it on Boba Fett, but like you can't coordinate Boba Fett anymore. I was like, well,
sad.
I'm still gonna feed him some actions through Hondo.
Ryan, what about you? Sorry.
Hold on. Let me just. Does that work on Hondo Crew then too? Hondo Crew is worded the exact same way. Two ships that are not friendly to each other.
No, I don't think it's not worded.
No, boo.
Oh.
But I'm gonna look right now, just so you know.
Don't take away the fun.
All right.
By following rules.
Rules.
All right, Crew Hondo. 2 ships at range 1 to 3 that are friendly to each other.
Friendly to each other. Okay.
Because the idea is
no effect.
with the crew
That's right.
one, they have to be friendly to each other, whether they're from the enemy ships that are 2 friends of each other, or on your team that's 2 friends. And you're just one of the ships that are friends of each other gets a coordinate, the other gets a G. So actually, if there are clearly 2 ships that your opponent is very likely to use Hondo Crew on, you tyranny one of those 2. You don't tyranny the Hondo carrier.
Okay.
Nice. Ryan?
Take a guess. You should know me.
I don't want it to be the one that Vanessa Doza.
Oh, it's the flak tri-fighter, the I-5. I'm gonna give that a shot.
I mean, yeah, that was my next guess. That was my next guess. I was. It depends which version of Ryan, because you like doing all this, like, I'm gonna dabble over here in the resistance.
Oh,
I got 5 ships.
But you give me some potential life in a tri-fighter, I'm gonna give it a shot.
True that. I'm gonna mess around with Vanessa Doza. That sounds bad. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fly this ship. I'm tired. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. Lot of content coming around the corner. Lots of things to shake up the meta as we go into our final run into the World Championships coming up in March. So really excited to see what ends up coming of it. Make sure to tune in on Wednesday for our title fight. How are things going over there on Wednesday nights, Will?
Oh, we got 2 champions already. We got a couple players already qualified, so we're getting more. I think we have actually decided through some brainstorming that we're actually going to limit it because we weren't sure where the limitation was going to be set. But I think we've come around to, because we already have the Emperor's Hand and Jedi Master as the first 2 titles, I think we're just going to go and flush out then 7 more titles, 1 for each of the factions. So Empire and Republic are already been claimed. So only the first 7, so 5 more people that get that title dogfight win will make the name of the title.
Nice. I mean, that's you got some fun possibilities there. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, lastly, we'll be back next Monday for our podcast. I will be working in the background here when I have time between diapers and baby snuggles. Roll Better, the tournament software that we've been testing, just recently got a new update, and I'm getting whispers that it might be ready for a real test, like an actual event here coming up soon. We've been talking about wanting to do a Gold Squadron League. We just need software that could support it, that did what I need it to do. So once I have an update there, we'll let you know. But other than that, I want to say, of course, thank you to everybody who did give us congratulations on Discord. For the little one. Ilara Catherine Morales is in the world, and it is amazing to see her. Thank you to everybody for your support. And if I seem a little absent over the next few months, it's mostly because I'm a little busy with the bebe, but I'll do my best to stay engaged with you guys, of course. For everybody here at Gold Squadron, be smart, be safe and figure out how to sleep with a little child. It's been done. I did it already. I did it. I just got to figure it out again. Thanks for watching, everybody. Gold Squadron.